Well, Raj, first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, I hear you're a big Alabama fan.
Absolutely. Roll Tide. I attended the University of Alabama from 1990 to 94 and then went on to Mississippi State University where I graduated in 96.
How did you get your start with VR? I heard you were an intern at Warm Springs.
Absolutely. I interned at the Roosevelt Warm Springs location back in 96 and I worked under the tutorialship of Frank Hardesty, who was a vocational rehabilitation counselor there. Had a fantastic opportunity. While there, the Paralympics was going on, and so I got to see how the athletes competed, and it introduced me to the world of the ability that people with disabilities have.
Absolutely. How did you get involved with the Business Enterprise Program?
Well, shortly after I graduated from Mississippi State, I came to Georgia and worked at Goodwill for about 6 months. And while I was at Warm Springs doing my internship, I had the opportunity of meeting the former Commissioner Peggy Rosser, and she remembered that I was coming to Georgia, so she told me about the opportunity with the Business Enterprise Program. I applied, and that's where I ended up 20 years later.
Now, did you start as a counselor with BEP?
Yes, I started out as a temporary counselor with BEP, where I worked in that location, or that position rather, for about 2.5 years. I was then able to interview and be brought on as a full-time counselor, where I worked an additional maybe 7 or 8 months. Once becoming a full-time counselor, I then had the opportunity of applying for a program manager position. Once there, I worked in that position for about 3 years, and then after that, I was appointed to director.
And how long were you director?
I was director since 2003, so almost 20 years. It would have been 20 years this August.
Okay. And what was the move that you made after being director at BEP?
I was given the opportunity to become project champion for Project Horizon, and I started that role in January of 2016. And so with being the project champion, I was responsible for facilitating a lot of the meetings that occurred with Project Horizon, coordinating meetings, ensuring that the 3 work groups were where they were supposed to be, did what they were supposed to do, and of course implementing the strategies that were involved in those processes. All of that fell under me.
Did you learn a lot about the agency as a whole working as part of Project Horizon?
Absolutely, absolutely. I will say that the Project Champion position allowed me the opportunity, first of all, to meet people that I probably never would have been able to come into contact with. I was able to look at the huge amount of resources that we have within the agency, because there's huge amounts of talent. And the individuals that were selected for the 3 work streams, and those 3 work streams were the value delivery process, organizational effectiveness, and of course the strategy and performance management teams. They were all brought together and looked upon as our top talent, and they definitely did not disappoint. They were definitely easy to work with and supplied us with the processes and procedures that we're working with now in order to make our agency bigger and better than it already is.
Well, talk to me a little bit about your new role, if you will.
Right, my new role is Chief of Strategy and Innovation, and the whole purpose of Strategy and Innovation is to come up with an initiative approval process that will allow us to ensure strategic alignment of all activities across the agency. It will create a centralized repository for projects and initiatives within Strategy and Innovation, and it will also be a mechanism for tracking progress, integrating into normal business operations, and of course capturing everything that we learn. Again, the process of the whole strategy unit or strategy department is, for us to be able to utilize every new initiative or grant proposal and develop it within the agency. It will segment projects that can be developed and implemented within a unit versus those initiatives that require ELT approval.
Right. Good. Well, are you excited about the new position?
I'm super excited about the new position. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nothing but a good old roll tide.
There we go.